it's Lindsay from My Crafty Plans. Welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome. Happy PLANMAS. We are moving right along here, and I am so excited because today, this is my last time setting up this Erin Condren Family Organizer for the month ahead of December. I love this planner. If you are a regular viewer of my channel, you will absolutely know that. Yes, I already have my new 2024 one for next year. We will be taking a look at that really soon, but this has just been my absolute favorite planner this year. It is one part planner, one part memory keeper. I love using it for both, and this has just kept me so organized all year long, but also has some really special memory keeping pages and different things in here. When I think about the most fun I've had planning all year, and also like one of the most useful planners I've had all year, this is absolutely what comes to mind. So of course I am sticking with the Family Organizer for next year, but it will be in a brand new one with a new colorway, so super excited for that as well. And today we get to do the very satisfying thing of closing out the year in this planner. Well, just about. At some point when I set up my 2024 Family Organizer, we'll have to go back and do the journaling pages in December in here, but it feels so good to have spent a whole year in a planner and a whole year loving that planner. That is such a good feeling. We are going to dive into December. I've got some really fun washies picked out. A little bit more Christmassy than I generally go for, but I just love some of these new Simply Gilded washies I have. I have some other ones that kind of match the color scheme there. We've got some colors picked out for all of my color coding in here. And this, as usual, will be sped up with a voiceover. We can walk through all of my highlights for the month of November, do some journaling. That will be first. Then we'll dive into December, setting up my calendar and all my dashboard spreads. Then we'll quickly flip through things at the end, and that'll be it. So if that sounds good, I'm gonna jump right in and we can start with that November flip through. So I actually dove right into the journaling, and we'll do the flip through at the end. I did change a couple of the pages from the way that I had planned at the beginning of the month. Basically, I swapped the planned photo spread with my book journaling spread because I barely took any pictures in November. I only have a few pictures to print. And by contrast, I actually read 7 books this month. So I wanted to make sure I had plenty of space for my book journaling, and I didn't really need the space for the photos. So I just swapped. In my little journaling space at the bottom, I just wrote about our canceled in-person Thanksgiving, which honestly, at this point, and even when I was writing this, I was already completely over. Wasn't an ideal situation, but we made the best of it, and we still had as much fun as we could, and we've already gotten to see most of the family since, and those that we can't, we will be seeing soon in the spring. Stuff happens, kids get sick, and we just try and make the most of it. On to the good stuff, at least for this month, the book journaling. I had a lot of fun with this. Again, I read 7 books this month. I read 3 fantasy books and 4 romance books. So I decided to split the 2 pages and do fantasy on one side and romance on the other. And none of these books are in really the order that I read them. Lately, I've just more been like grouping by genre or how I feel about them rather than going in order, and that's been working super well. So the first book that I'm going to journal, which was actually the last book that I read of this month, was Iron Flame, which was the sequel to Fourth Wing. Technically, I actually finished this book on December 1st. I only had like about an hour of it left on December 1st, and I didn't want to have to wait all the way till January to write about it, so I decided to just include it with my November reads. I absolutely love this. I think I might have even liked this better than Fourth Wing. The pacing in this book is just so much fun. It's like so fast. There's always something happening. It moves so quickly. It was so refreshing to read this as a fantasy after the 2 fantasy books that I read earlier this month, which are just like really long, and parts of them are kind of hard to get through, even though I do love Brandon Sanderson. But yeah, this was just like so refreshing. It's like an action movie, but as a fantasy book. I really think that these books are worth the hype. I read online that Fourth Wing is like the number 4 best-selling book of the whole year, like of anything, of fiction, nonfiction, any kind of book. And I really think that these are really good and really accessible. Like, I don't think you have to be someone who generally reads fantasy or even really likes fantasy to enjoy these. It's definitely not like really heavy, high fantasy. It's just a fun time. And if you have no idea what these books are about, it's basically like a war college with dragons. And it kind of has like the fun and the pacing of a YA book, but these are very much not YA. They are very violent, and there is also some spice in these books. But just super fun, can't put it down kind of read. After that, on the page, but actually the first 2 books that I read of this month were Brandon Sanderson's Oathbringer and Rhythm of War. This is books 3 and 4 of the Stormlight Archives. So I thought this was a trilogy and did not know it wasn't a trilogy until I got to the end of the 3rd book and was like, this is not an ending? And then same with the fourth book, except for I don't even think the fifth book is out yet. I rated the first 2 books in this series 5 stars, and then the third one, Oathbringer, 4.5, and Rhythm of War, 4. These books are so long, and I really just think that this should have been a trilogy. It really seemed like it was building to an ending, and then it just kept going past it. But the world building is incredible. The characters are incredible. And I do really love it. I just definitely need a break from it. And I think I needed a break from it in between the third and the fourth book, which I did not give myself. So that probably colors some of it. It is really long. There's also a few storylines in this book that I'm going to be honest, I kind of skim read them just because I don't care as much. There are a lot of different storylines and a lot of different characters. Some of them I absolutely love, and some of them I just kind of push through. If you really like high epic fantasy and you haven't already read this, definitely check it out. But this is definitely not a beginner fantasy series and definitely not a book that I would recommend to everyone. So on the second page, I'm going to put all of the romance books that I read this month. And there were 4, although 2 of them are like borderline not even romances. They're both like half romances, half about healing family. I actually loved both of them. And I really enjoyed all of the romance books that I read this month. So the first one that I'm going to write about here is Witch of the Wild Things. This is kind of like a little bit of a witchy, cozy fantasy romance. But again, I thought this one was more about the family dynamics than the actual romance plotline. The main character, Sage, returns home after losing her job, and there she tries to repair her relationship with her youngest sister at the request of her middle sister, who is a ghost that only she can see. Everyone in the family has a different power, and she has the power to like kind of commune with nature and plants, and she can also identify any plant just by like touching it. And she gets a job at this farm where she and the love interest, who was her crush from high school, and that's literally the only thing I remember about him, are trying to find new wild plants for the farm to cultivate and sell. I loved the magic in this book. It was just so cozy and nice, like perfect house witch kind of magic. That kind of small town, low stakes, familial type of magic. And it was very much just a book about healing families, and I really, really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. There is like 1 or 2 spicy scenes in this. Honestly, I did not think they belonged in the book. I think the book would have been better without them. I also really didn't like them, which is probably coloring that, but overall, I still really liked it. The family stuff in this just worked way better for me than the actual romance plotline. Next was Georgie All Along, which I gave 4.5 stars, and this is just a really fun, grumpy sunshine romance. Georgie is just really sweet and fun and wonderful, and the love interest was actually her high school crush's older brother, who is like a super grumpy, reformed bad boy, and it just really worked for me. I just love Grumpy Sunshine. Then at the end of the month, I read 2 holiday romances. The first was A Cross Country Christmas. This one's on Kindle Unlimited, and it is a reverse Grumpy Sunshine, so he's the sunshine, she's the grumpy. It's also brother's best friend. He is driving her home for the holidays, and they take the scenic route, and it's really fun. Then last, but definitely not least, I gave this 5 stars, was Love, Holly. I actually listened to this on audiobook, which I definitely recommend. The narrator's great, and she's British, and it was wonderful. I'm pretty picky about audiobooks, and I absolutely love this. Again, I found that this was more about the family dynamics and the healing than the actual romance plotline. This is just such a beautiful story about healing after tragedy, and I just really love this. It was so wonderful and heartfelt. This is a book that will make you sob, so if that's not something you're prepared for, be prepared. It does have a happy ending though. The romance in this is also wonderful. It is very much in service of the other plot, and it is also closed door, but if you're looking for an emotional read, definitely check this out. All right, let's flip through my November pages now that the journaling stuff is all done. We've got my calendar, recurring schedule, dashboard page, my school listing, some kids' activities. I'm gonna save that for the few pictures I have in November, my little journaling section, and milestones and achievements. Split listing, Thanksgiving, a couple of things that I've been thinking about for goals, and some other stuff. Again, I did preset this up a little bit more than I usually do since I kind of knew what was going on. And then we have the book journal page. So much fun doing this. I really like the way that it turned out. Split the fantasy and the romance side. Super, super fun. Great reading month. And then, oh, I totally forgot about this page. I do not have the energy to do that right now, but I will come back and fill this in. And I'm probably going to do a flip through of this whole planner soon, so you'll see that then. But I will finish that out. My line a day memory keeper. That is it for November. So let's dive into December. Diving right in with the washi, I really loved this Christmas release from Simply Gilded with like kind of the softer colors, matched super well with the color scheme in the planner as well. And then I had some fun picking out some different pens and markers and kind of like the teal, green, and pink and beige category. Very soft and pretty. I also really wanted to use some of the stamps, the passport stamps. I love that washi, like the ones that look like actual little mailing stamps from Simply Gilded. I have all of those so far that have been released, and I hope she keeps releasing more because they're so fun. I should have my advent calendar from Simply Gilded soon, so hopefully there's a roll in there. I kind of have a feeling there will be. That's my prediction, but haven't seen it yet. It should be mailing later this week though. As far as plans this month go, we don't have a lot, few things here and there, and then winter break, and then we will definitely have a bunch of plans and putting that in. But yeah, it's not a very busy month, which is great. Looking forward to just really relaxing and just kind of getting some PLANMAS stuff done. I've been working on like a kind of quiet work project, I'll call it. It's not like a client-facing project. It's just something that I'm trying to fix in one of the regular reports that I work on. And it's nice. It just has to be done by the end of the year, so I can kind of take it at a pace and just work through it. And while I'm working on other things that are not freelance business related, a lot of channel stuff going on this month, obviously with PLANMAS. And really just trying to enjoy the slower pace and make sure I have lots of self-care and free time. We just had such a busy and hectic fall, and I was so busy with work. So it feels really great to have some downtime and just kind of work through that. I did go back to 6 categories in my sidebar instead of 7. I got rid of the home category again. Now that the work on the basement is done, I don't really need that. We don't have like a lot of in-home appointments that I need to keep track of now that we don't have construction workers in our house anymore. But I can always throw that back in if we need it, or if we end up doing another project eventually, can be like a kind of as needed category. I decided to use some washi to mark Hanukkah, which I'm about to put in just a second there. I wrote it in, and then I found like a kind of matching washi to that color and just kind of ran that along the strip. I'm going to do the same thing for winter break as well, and I put winter break in the kids color, and then I used the pink snowflake washi to mark that one. So we have a couple of longer things there, and that way I still have, those are the 5mm rolls of Simply Gilded, so then I still have plenty of space to add things into the calendar. I do add to this calendar throughout the month whenever I schedule anything that like would have gone in there if I had known about it earlier in the month. I do tend to add that into the calendar. It's really helpful because I always have this open on my desk, and I don't always have my Gmail calendar open on my desk, but also it's really helpful to look back at, like if I'm ever like, oh, when was the last time I got my nails done, or when was the last time I got my hair cut, or when did the kids have their doctor's appointment. I can flip back through this because I feel like Google like erases things after a certain amount of time, so it's nice to have this hard copy as backup as well. It comes up super often, but comes up more often than you might think. And just highlighting over some of the holidays on the half days. I kind of wanted to write stuff in, but those half boxes are so small, always super hard to write in. Much better when none of the half days are in the month. That's pretty much it for the calendar. I'm going to turn the page in just a second to go to the main dashboard spread. And then it has from left to right, we've got the recurring calendar, or the recurring schedule, which you will see in just a second. I used to put all of the stuff that was in the recurring schedule, or at least most of it, in the monthly calendar. But now I have it here, and that's actually been really helpful because it just frees up space in the calendar. And that way I can like really see like your appointments just pop out a little bit more when they're not clouded by like the things that are the same every week. Things like kids' extracurricular activities, or like our cleaning appointments, just even work projects that I have that are always at the same time every week. So I really like having that in the recurring schedule instead. That was definitely a good addition to my calendar from using this planner from how I used to do my calendars before I was in the Family Organizer. Then next to that, the next column over, I typically use one of those boxes as a list of things that I'd like to schedule for the month, like appointments that I need to book that are coming up. And then the box underneath that I set for work projects. I only have one work project this month. My goal is for that that to not change and for that to be the only work project that stays in that for this month. Again, I am having a say no kind of a month and just take it easy. Although it's typically easy for me to do that at the time of the year. Things do really slow down for me in December anyway, so perfect timing. And I do have I put down that I wanted to book my haircut, which I still do want to add. And then I need to add to that, I'm trying to book a little spa day, some more relaxation as well. Then I went really decorative in the bottom corner. I used some of the stamps, and then I just kind of drew some ornaments in and some string lights. Just been having a lot of fun with doodles lately. I wrote in December because I had some extra space as well, and just kind of played with some of the dot markers and other highlighters and different markers I have. I was going to say something about my nails, but I realized when I filmed this, I still had my purple nails on, but I think I got my Christmas nails done before I did the book journaling one, so I have like the red and the gold. Kind of wish they were on for this, but that is not how the timing worked out. But I'm just coloring everything in. That is the Secret Pink Zebra Mild Liner. It's the one that you can only get from the Japanese set, but you can pick it up at Stationery Pal or from Jet Pens. They sell it even individually. Or if you buy the Japanese version of the neutral set, the US version of the neutral set has a different color in it. And of course I do have both. Now I'm setting up those top boxes. Again, I did put the haircut up in there. And then I did just give myself a little extra key. I've been doing this since I think September because now my two older kids have a different schedule for after school activities. So I just gave them each a color and then one color for both because they do have some activities in common. And that way I can kind of color code everything in the recurring schedule. I went pretty light with the recurring schedule this month. Some months I put like chores and laundry and stuff like that in that, but I was just kind of not feeling it this month, again in the theme of taking it easy, and I just went very bare minimum with just like my big work stuff and the kids schedule. Then on the page opposite this, which I'm about to start, that is I kind of think of that as my one-page translation of what goes into my Moxie life. It's not exactly the same thing, but I basically split things into where the dotted line is. That becomes my to-do list. Most of that gets transferred over from Moxie life, but only the task-oriented goals. So a lot of my goals are more like habits or mindset things or just, I don't know, different things that I'm working on. So those wouldn't go in the list, but anything that's task-oriented goes in my list on the left. And then on the right, what I'm working on now, those are like kind of my big themes. That part of the planner actually says family goals. I usually just cover that up and I go with like kind of my big themes for the month, and I use the little arrows to mark that. The colors there do not match with the color coding scheme. I was just using some different ones of the colors. Sometimes I do match them, or at least I'll match one or two of them, but usually it doesn't match exactly with the way that I color code my calendar. Then on the bottom, I usually just list out habits here, but I've said this before, that's the only part of the planner that I don't really understand because this is a monthly planner and that is a weekly habit tracker, and I just didn't even feel like bothering this month, so I just covered it in some of the stamp stickers and then some dots because I just really love those stamps, and yeah, I was not listing out habits for this one. Looks cute, and I will just be writing that in the Erin Condren survey until they take that piece out or turn it in. I think like little calendar habit trackers, like so you could dot the days, would be so much better there, or just having it be more free space, or like, I don't know, something else. But it doesn't really make sense to have a weekly habit tracker there. Then this little functional page is like kind of my kids zone. On the left-hand side, we've got the school, which I usually split up between preschool, elementary, and PTA. I just made the elementary and PTA one for this month. Again, it's winter break right before the holidays. There's just not that much going on right now. And then on the right-hand side, my dates to remember, listing out some of those days. And we actually have a trip coming up in January, which I'm really excited about. So I have to get that squared away with school, and then also just, you know, in general as well. I used the minty green dots on top of the school. I think that washi's really, really cute. And then I just split this page and I left more space for elementary and PTA. Again, just because of the volunteering, I typically have a lot more to write about the PTA. I don't volunteer at the preschool anymore, which was really nice to cut back on, as horrible as that sounds. I do definitely feel a little bit guilty about it, but also it's been really great. We all only have so much time, and I can be much more help at the elementary school, and I feel like they need it more. Then on this bottom section here, I've got a little Hanukkah gift section where I thought I could just list out what we end up giving the kids for each of the nights of Hanukkah. We don't buy all of the gifts for those nights ourselves. Some of those we actually get from grandparents or aunts and uncles, but the kids will get to open something every night of Hanukkah, and I can record it there and say who it was from. And then this next set of pages, this will be my journaling space, so just getting that set up, but trying to leave it really, really flexible, again, in case I change my mind or, something jumps out at me, or like last month, I end up reading way too many books and not taking any pictures, although that probably won't be the case this month with like winter break and the holidays and everything. And then the last thing that I did was just run some washi at the top of my listing page. I didn't pre-set up anything, and now I'm going to just set up my line a day memory keeper for the month, which I already need to catch up on, and we're only a few days into the month here. But this month, unlike last month, I did write the correct name of the month, so that's great. And I also am going to draw in a couple more of those ornament doodles, so it looks really, really cute. Hopefully that will help me stay a little bit neater. I always feel like my handwriting is neater on pages that I like the look of, so we'll see how that works out. But that's pretty much everything. I'm just going to finish out these last little doodles. All right, that is everything for December. So let's just take one last flip through of all of my pages. Super, super cute. Really excited to be wrapping up in here. I can't wait to keep going with this next year and just to move into my 2024 planner, which I now officially have. Super, super excited. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you've tried this planner or if you've tried any monthly planners. Just really curious to see how many people out there are using this or something similar to it. Don't forget to come back tomorrow. I will have another PLANMAS video. You can also subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any of the PLANMAS fun. And check me out on Instagram and TikTok at MyCraftyPlans for even more, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye!